Association report that 20% of people who come to critical condition report a near-death experience. It's very high, it's like 1 in 5.
It's a lot.
That's a quote from the journal from MD Jeffrey Long reads, "There are characteristic features that are commonly observant in near-death experiences. These include passing through a tunnel, encountering mysterious light, intense and general positive emotions, life review, encountering deceased loved ones, and a choice to return to earthly life." And like surgeons have apparently made such noise about it that it's been scholarly investigation for almost 40 years, and it's actually converting atheist surgeons from just seeing these things, So from that, would you say then, would you believe in a higher power, or did you come from not believing to now believing, or what's your stand on that?
I had faith before. Well, I believed in God. I had lost faith in God after my dad died when I was 15. I didn't not believe in him, but I didn't feel he believed in me. But yeah, since coming back, I'm still not sure it's a singular entity or if it's more of a pluralistic. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, there's definitely something bigger than us. There's something that guides us, or at least gives us signs as to where they want us to go. If it is a God, then of course our free will comes into play, where we get the choice to go one way or the other. But yeah, no, I definitely believe that there's a higher power than us. Nature, infinity, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I call it God because that's my upbringing. And yeah, that whole death thing, I mean, there was some intimacy in it too, which is kind of hard to explain, but it was, wow, it's really hard to explain. But it was like being like back in like your safe home area. Like, I'm not gonna say like a spaceship type thing because that sounds crazy, like bring me home, but something similar to that. Like I was home, like I was in a very familiar place where I knew I was safe and I knew I was loved, and I knew that the mental pain would stop, and that all the agony that I've been going through since a child was no longer going to happen. So I don't know if that's God, but it was definitely something that I was familiar with. Like when you're born, you come from something. Like I had gone back to that for my time. I wasn't supposed to be there yet, but they accepted me and were willing to let me stay.
Mm-hmm.
But the choice was given to me that, stay or go back and make it right. Now, the funny thing is, I sometimes wonder, like, if I hadn't come back and decided to try to figure out what make it right means, what my life would be like now.
Yeah.
Had I not followed the direction, or it wasn't an order, it was definitely a direction that I was supposed to follow when I came back.
Yeah.
What would I be doing now if I had decided to come back and just like basically crap all over my second chance and go back to being the drug addicted, loser that I was prior to this, so yeah, there's definitely a thing about the higher power. Now the suicide, I did die. It's not clinical death because I died in my friend's bed, but I actually did die. I took 164 trazodone with vodka and an empty stomach on a dare. Basically, I was with a really bad boyfriend who was upset with me because I didn't get my Social Security disability that day when I was supposed to, because there was a mess up with the lawyer, and he blamed me for it, which it was like I was just as upset about not getting it, but it was like he was like it was his money, and it was like, no, you're just this guy I hooked up with. It has nothing to do with you, And he's like, I bet you couldn't even kill yourself right. Well, he caught me in a mood where I was like, really? I bet you I can. And I was living in a house where there was a whole bunch of junkies and everybody was on pharmaceuticals, and there was all kinds of pills to choose from. And it was his prescription of trazodone, which he was obviously not taking because there was 3 months worth of it for me to foolishly gobble. And I did. And though it wasn't a clinical death because none of them would call an ambulance for me because they were afraid they were going to get charged on a homicide because they knew I was dying. But I did. I mean, I died. I evacuated. And then I went into, I didn't have the tunnel experience. I just kind of wound up in this really light, beautiful, warm music plates of like peace. It was, I guess it could be as like in the womb kind of, although I don't remember being in the womb, but like as being in the womb. And it was beautiful, and I was safe, and you know, I wanted to stay. I really did. And then the voices started coming to me, like it was more than one voice, because I want to say it was God's voice, but it was more like an angelic choir of voices that came to me. And they're like, you're not done yet. You can stay here if you want to, or you can go back and you can make it right. And as soon as they said make it right, I could feel my body being pulled back and out, and it was cold and it was dark and there was pain. When I came back into my body, there was so much pain from the overdose, and then from the re-entry, I'm going to say, because I'm not sure the process of like molecularly what happens when that happens to you, if you actually do start like disintegrating in your own body and when you're going through. But I came back through, and the first thing when I opened my eyes was my dog, who is like right here next to me now, like just laying there, like looking at me, tears. His fur was pelted from crying for as many hours or days, because I lost a day on this. So I obviously didn't die immediately, but you know, I want to say I was like in a coma like state if it wasn't an actual death.